This video is brought to you by Raycon. I'm the reason reality is breaking down. The great mending is being unmended. Wait, before you say anything else, do you mind if I do the ad read? Do what you do so well, my friend. This holiday season, consider giving the gift of Raycon. Raycon offers premium tech at great prices with tens of thousands of 5-star reviews across their products. This last year, they introduced their Raycon PowerTech line of high-speed cables and chargers. They're really becoming a one-stop shop for all your audio needs. I don't belong in this universe. The equation is imbalanced. As long as I stay here, everything is doomed to collapse. We use our everyday earbuds constantly. They're so sleek and comfortable, they never fall out, the sound quality is great, and the battery life keeps us listening to tunes and podcasts throughout all of our adventures. Yes, and I have cherished the adventures we've gone on this year. For a limited time, Raycon is offering bundles of their favorite products. The Everyday Earbuds 3X Kit bundles 3 pairs of earbuds for a steep discount. It's the perfect Christmas deal. I have to leave now. And I can't ever return. Hey, alternate universe Arlo? Yeah, Arlo? I'm gonna miss you, buddy. I'm gonna miss you too. There's one last thing I need to tell you before you go. Anything. This holiday season, get premium audio and power tech at a great price, and save even more doing it. Go to buyraycon.com/Arlo to get 15% off. Site-wide. I know. Goodbye. "8 feet 12 inches. I'm sure every single top 10 games of 2023 list is gonna start exactly the same way, but I don't care. 2023 was an incredible year for games. So incredible, in fact, that I barely got to play half of the new games I wanted to play, and you will no doubt wonder why some of your favorite 2023 games are not on this list. I do what I can, and I did indeed get to play a good number of awesome games this year, so it is now time to talk about them. And as always, there are sure to be some honorable mentions and cheats. Let's get started. I'm a new Kirby fan. I ain't been at this for long. Forgotten Land really grabbed me on release, so it was cool that Nintendo immediately gave me an opportunity to play a game from Kirby's past that is generally considered to be very good. And I am happy to say that I also feel that Return to Dreamland is quite good. The level design is solid, the presentation is delightful, the story is fun, the whole package is just nice. That's really what Kirby is about, right? It's all just very friendly and nice and consistently enjoyable to play. All the mini-games are pretty cool, and Magoland tying them all together helps give me incentive to actually engage with them, which is a plus. The piece de resistance, however, is definitely Magolor Epilogue. Kirby is fun, but there are some things about how it controls that don't sit quite right with me, and this little campaign addresses every one of those problems. The moveset is really cool with tons of moves to unlock, slowly making them stronger is extremely satisfying. And the whole thing is really short, but it still manages to feel meaty because it's just so much fun from start to finish. If anything, the length makes it great for repeat playthroughs. I'm really hoping that future Kirby games have modes like this. And actually, a whole game like this would be extra amazing, but I guess I'm not holding my breath. Overall, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe is a good time. Kirby is good. Multiple 2D platformers on Arlo's end-of-year top 10 list? Cue Twilight Zone theme, am I right? Sonic 2 was my very first video game ever, so even if I'm not an active fan, I am pretty susceptible to Sonic-related nostalgia, and Superstars hits all the right notes for me. It's a perfect blend of modern and classic. I did love the clean pixel art of Mania, but 2.5D opens up some new possibilities, and I love what they did with it. The characters look so so perfect, and they're all expressive. There are loads of little details to enjoy in each environment. Everything is fun and colorful. The controls feel perfect, and the levels all have loads of splitting paths and cool mechanics, plus lots of bosses to enjoy. The game doesn't do anything to push Sonic forward, but I don't feel like it needed to. I know reception to Superstars has been mixed, and elephant in the room, some people thought maybe I only liked it so much because my impressions video was sponsored, but if I may defend myself for just a moment, I didn't like it because of the sponsorship. I took the sponsorship because I liked it, and I was so happy to recommend it. I mean, I literally turned down sponsorships for trashy games every single day, and I don't know what to tell you. I didn't have any major complaints here. I played on Steam and encountered no bugs or hitches. It sounds like the co-op is weak, but I didn't play the co-op. My only major complaint now is that the latter third of the game has some rough bosses that are more frustrating than fun, but those are the exception. Most of my experience has been just plain fun. I really honestly like Sonic Superstars, and I super duper hope we don't have to wait too long for a sequel. It was a breath of fresh air this year, a delicious little slice of nostalgia for this aging monster. And you know what? Josh from Geek Critique loves it, and he's like the biggest Sonic fan on the planet. So there! Did you know Nintendo released an HD Pikmin collection on Switch in 2023? Because they did. After all these years of me ranting and raving about how they were letting their poor little IP rot in the fridge, they were keeping the series from making new fans, they weren't utilizing their library of legacy titles, they finally went, okay already, here's your stupid Pikmin! Now shut up! In all seriousness though, it is fantastic that a new generation of people finally have easy access to these terrific games, especially with Pikmin 4 making a splash on the system. Now every mainline Pikmin game is on Switch, and all is right with the world. They even updated the controls and completely remastered the cutscenes in Pikmin 2, which was a really pleasant surprise. I've played the game so many times that messing with these HD ports didn't take up a ton of my playtime this year, but I did stream the games, which was incredibly fun. Amazing turnout, super cool chat, everyone having a good time. I already adore Pikmin, obviously, but now I have another great memory to associate with it. I still need to stream Pikmin 3 and 4 though, so stay tuned for that. Point is, Pikmin is great, and they put more Pikmin on Switch, so I am happy. PlayStation VR 2 was what finally pushed me to buy a PS5. I really wanted to check it out, and I thought I'd make some videos and stuff, though PSVR 2 was basically dead on arrival, so much for that plan. But I have experienced one VR highlight so far. And no, it wasn't Horizon Call of the Mountain or Resident Evil Village VR, as it probably should have been. No, even with all this amazing AAA stuff to play, I found myself returning to this game called Puzzling Places. Have you played this? This is basically just a 3D jigsaw puzzle game where you can manipulate the pieces using motion controllers, and I can't even tell you how amazing it is. I mean, puzzles are already fun, but being immersed in a game like this, actually grabbing and placing and moving pieces intuitively with your real hands, there's just something really magical about it. It's so ridiculously zen, especially considering how these models are all beautiful structures and places created using 3D photography, and they even put sound effects in there like whooshing wind, people in the distance, all these little things to make you feel just plain nice. It's been a good year, but also something of a stressful one, and Puzzling Places has really helped me out. It never fails to put me in a good headspace. Did you know Nintendo released a full remaster of Metroid Prime on Switch in 2023? Because they did. And I don't think enough time can possibly pass for me to stop feeling surprised. A remaster was rumored for a long time, but for them to shadow drop it during a direct and only charge $40? That's not even the half of it though. Every single asset was completely and faithfully remade for this remaster. Every element brought up to modern standards as though this were a brand new game. And honestly, honestly, I don't think a game can look better on Switch. I just don't think it's possible. And they even updated the controls. The controls are perfect. I literally couldn't have asked for a better remaster on this hardware. I'm completely in awe of what they did. And Metroid Prime is one of my all-time favorite games, easily a top 10er. To see it given this treatment, it's just unreal. I really might never recover from the shock of its reveal and release. Only time will tell if the other Prime games get the same kind of treatment, but even if they don't, this was a big win for Metroid fans. And you know what? We deserve some wins. We're getting into the real meat now. Super Mario Bros. Wonder was another surprise. Not only a new 2D Mario after all these years, but one that does literally everything a new 2D Mario needed to do in order to actually stand out and live up to Mario's legacy? What is this? In my eyes, Wonder really is the exact game that Mario needed. It's got a strong and highly appealing visual style, which is not something you can say about the games that came before it. The Wonder mechanic turns each level into a little present for you to open. You never know what you're gonna get. The whole game tries its hardest to surprise and delight at every turn, and it very much succeeds. The fun is constant, and even if the overall difficulty is a little too far on the easy side for my liking, the game features plenty of tricky challenges. Oh, and I have not forgotten about the badge system. They've still got some kinks to iron out, and most of the badges are fairly pointless, I'll admit, but I still feel like badges add a good chunk of fun and customizability to the experience. And I'm not personally into the online stuff, but there is no denying that it's another great option for people willing to engage with it. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is yet another 2D platformer on this Arlo Top 10 list, which is simply unheard of. And I'm willing to go as far as to say it is one of the finest 2D platformers I have ever played. I always knew Nintendo had this game in them. We just had to wait for them to actually go for it. But who cares about brand new entries in classic series that push their respective formulas forward? Even higher on this list is a remake of a game I've played 100,000 times already. And you know why? Because Resident Evil 4 isn't just a simple remake. It's not just a soulless rehash of an already great game. It takes the original and refreshes it, adds to it, remixes it. It fleshes out characters that didn't get a fair shake. It improves upon the pacing and level design. And most importantly, it provides new gameplay elements that make the experience feel new even while it feels familiar. And that's really the amazing thing here. Remakes don't always know exactly how faithful to stay to the source material, but this game nails it like 99.99%. It manages to change exactly what needed to change and kept just the right stuff intact. It's a big improvement in a lot of ways, and yet it doesn't feel like it replaces the original. It's incredible. I really can't understand how they did it. Resident Evil 4 is probably the best remake I've ever played, and it's also probably just the most fun Resident Evil game. I love all the modern games, but the gameplay here is just, oh, it's so refined. It is perfect. I honestly lost count of how many times I ran through the game and all the new game pluses and whatnot, and even just talking about it here, I am getting the itch to boot it back up. It's a good time to be a Resident Evil fan. Now it's time for this year's cheat game. Only one this time, impressive. This isn't a game that released this year, but it's a game that I played this year, and it ate up enough of my life and brain power to deserve a spot on this list. As you likely know, over the last few years, I have become something of a FromSoft freak, and I've been slowly working my way through their Souls-style catalog. Well, I finally picked up that PS5 and mustered up the courage to tackle Demon's Souls, the remake of the game that literally created an entire genre. Being the first Souls-like, Demon's Souls is a little rough. Some mechanics that still needed ironing out, some frustrating bits, extremely uneven bosses, and the most agonizing boss runbacks imaginable. And honestly, I had to struggle for a good while before it all clicked. During the opening hours, it felt like the game was desperately trying to stop me from having fun and to get me to quit. I did eventually get over that hump though, and once I did, I predictably fell head over heels in love, like I always do. When I'm into a FromSoft game, playing it is all I want to do. No other games compare. No other life activities compare. And Demon's Souls in particular is just so easy to pick up and play thanks to the more segmented structure where you can pick and choose which world you feel like tackling next and slowly make your way through each individual area. As is becoming standard practice for me, I beat the game, told myself I was done, played through New Game Plus, told myself I was done again, then proceeded to play all the way through New Game Plus 5, where the difficulty stops scaling up. And now I'm sad that there's nothing left to do, even though it's good that I'm done, because I need to play other games and do other things. Yet even now, the idea of just starting with an all-new character is weirdly tempting. So yeah, Demon's Souls was one of my favorite experiences in 2023, clearly. See you next year when I inevitably say this all over again for Dark Souls 3. I don't know exactly how I feel about Tears of the Kingdom. I am still trying to figure it out. I was actually close to putting it just below Demon's Souls, and that's because it is indeed a really great game. The ways that it builds upon the foundation of Breath of the Wild, how it takes the old Hyrule and makes it feel fresh and full of mysteries, and of course the new Ultra Hand and fusing systems, it's all really impressive. I can easily say that for quite a few hours, the game felt like one of those special experiences that you remember forever. But the more I played, the quicker I found myself filling up on the meal. You know, I didn't feel quite as compelled to sink hundreds of hours into this one, and I've actually not even finished it yet. I need to get back into it and wrap up all the story stuff before I can tell you how I really feel about Tears of the Kingdom. Until then, I'm kinda stuck in this weird limbo where it feels extremely important and like the shining pinnacle of the series, but also like kinda, sorta, maybe too little too late. I really don't know where I'll ultimately land. But for now, I can say that the game is at least special enough to place very high on the list of the best games I played in 2023. I mean, some of these shrines with all the Ultra Hand contraption puzzles alone, like, this is truly a unique video game experience. Yeah. Yeah. Nintendo gave us Pikmin 4 in 2023. Pikmin 4. For real life. And whenever you get something you've been wanting for years and years, there's always the chance that you'll be disappointed. It won't turn out the way you wanted, and then you'll be really sad about it. But that's not what happened with Pikmin 4. At least not for me. Is the game perfect? Nah, there are some tweaks I'd like to see them make. The new auto lock-on system in particular needs some work. But overall, this game is so good. It's absurdly good. Pikmin 3 scaled back the complexity of 2 and returned to the series' roots of relative simplicity in order to increase replayability. I loved Pikmin 3, but I was sad that this was probably the ultimate fate of the series. Back to basics. Shorter, more tightly designed, less fluff, probably for the best. Lisai. But no, apparently their design philosophies just change wildly from game to game because they could not have possibly leaned harder in the opposite direction. Small issues aside, they could not have made a Pikmin game that felt more tailored to the Arlos of the world. The game is bigger, so much bigger. It's got so much content. It's got story and characters, intrigue, loads and loads of new creatures and abilities and stuff to collect and upgrade. There's upgrading. You can upgrade everything. And of course, it's beautiful. It's the most stunning world we've seen in the series thus far. And it's approachable enough to appeal to new players without completely abandoning all of the veteran players. It strikes an incredible balance between old and new, between faithful and fresh. Pikmin 4 is just a really, really good Pikmin game. After so many years, I didn't even know what a new Pikmin game should be, yet I can now confidently say that this was it. This was the exact Pikmin game they should have made. And it feels good. It just feels good. So good. Pikmin 4 finally came, and it ended up real good. And yeah, it's my game of the year. Easy. Nothing else compared to the joy I felt playing this game. Beating Flame Lurker came close, but Pikmin 4 won. Not a lot of cheat games this year, but plenty of honorable mentions. Here are the games that probably would have made the list, but I didn't get a chance to finish them. The first is Sea of Stars. I streamed the game a couple times, absolutely adored what I played, and then life got in the way and I haven't picked it up since. It's really good so far though. And same with Octopath Traveler 2. Extremely good, played it a good amount, but then in the middle of the game I got distracted by stuff, and it's really hard to pick up an RPG again once it's put down, you know? But oh man, Octopath 2, good stuff. More honorable mentions. Here are the games that probably would have made the list if I'd played them, but I didn't get a chance to play them at all. Born of Bread is the latest big Paper Mario-like, and it looks really exceptional. I cannot wait to play it. Except, clearly I can, because I am now, but you know what I mean. I think I made that joke last year. Whatever, moving on. Lies of P. Ooh, I wanted to get this game so bad. I've heard some kinda mixed stuff about it, and apparently it's really heavy on parrying, which is not my thing, but I'm still down to give it a shot. It looks so good. Then the biggest one, Blasphemous 2. I love the first game so much, and I really want to play it again with all the updates and the DLC and stuff before I tackle the sequel, so I haven't touched the sequel yet. It looks good though. Ooh, it looks good. Oh yeah, I guess I should mention Super Mario RPG as well, or everyone will be a little confused. I really do want to play it. I don't have time. I don't have time. This is the end of year rush. I'm too busy making this video. And finally, I didn't play enough games to give you a top 10 worst games or anything, but how about my own personal top 2 most disappointing games of 2023? First is Somerville, which I guess is technically a cheat because it released at the end of 2022. Playdead made Limbo and Inside, 2 of my favorite games ever, and one of the studio founders split off to form his own studio. Their first project was Somerville, and on the surface, this is another Playdead title. Super moody, no dialogue, atmospheric, visual, emotional, puzzly kind of adventure game. I mean, I was extremely excited for it. This was basically the Playdead game number 3 I was waiting for, right? Nah, I don't exactly know what went wrong here, but Somerville isn't great. It's got good elements. I mean, look at it. Like, those visuals, the artistry here, the shot composition, it's all completely on point. It's got all the makings of a beautiful, emotional masterpiece. But the gameplay just kinda falls flat. The puzzles are a little obtuse, some of the sequences feel rote, and the ending is a tremendous, confusing letdown that ends everything on a sour note. It's a real bummer. This game had every reason to be great. Guess I'll go back to waiting for the next Playdead game some more. Maybe I'll get lucky and it will release this decade. And the other disappointing game, Starfield. Another game following a particular formula from people who have made games using that formula that I really loved. And unfortunately, another game that just kinda falls flat. Go check out my review for my complete thoughts, but Starfield is just kinda blah. It's got all the ideas and mechanics of a big Bethesda RPG, but very little of the interest. This is a bland, by-the-numbers sci-fi world with no cool alien races or interesting technology or any of the stuff that I like about sci-fi. I mean, Bethesda, your desolate world is a planet post-apocalypse series has more interesting culture than a grand sci-fi epic you created from the ground up? What happened? Why is this so bland and unimaginative? There's so much to do and so many conversations to have and so many planets to explore, and yet I don't really feel like doing any of it. I did play the game for a good bit, a few dozen hours, and I had some fun. But once I put it down for more than like a day, I felt very little pull to pick it back up again. Gosh, what a waste. So there you have it. Those are the games I loved most, least, and almost in 2023. But as always, I will ask you to mosey on down to the comments and let us know what your favorite games were and why they were Baldur's Gate 3. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go round up all those games I wanted to play and play them, instead of just getting distracted by life and other new games and relegating them to the backlog literally forever. This is the year that I am actually going to do that. For real. This is it. Here I go. I'm going to go play all those games now. I'm walking away. For real. Not a joke. Not a joke. For real life. It's really happening. Here I go.